Good.
Hello, my name is Lowell, and this is another session of the Veil Iterations. And this is a variant on the Veil, which is a PbtA game of cyberpunk life and adventure and so on. I've made some tweaks to it, and I've run it quite a bit, and I've done some changes to adjust. And we are kind of in medias res, as they say. But we're going to check in on a couple of things here before we get going. Just to remind you, Cora, you have +1 forward hanging out in the air for your next move. Lark, you have the scalpel to the throat of this person, and you have I have to deal harm to you still from that move. And oh no, you've got poor Chihabra by the shoulders and shaking it, but we'll come back to what that all means. So Cora, what do you think you're going to take for your advance?
I took Sling.
Okay. That seems like a very good idea.
Yeah, it kind of felt like in this situation, Cora's been on edge for a couple of days, so figuring out how to move some of that energy around is recommended.
Let me ask you a question. You have your cybernetics marked. Does that mean they're marked or not marked? Are you doing the
Um,
checkbox to show that you've used them, or are you unchecking them when they're
no,
open?
I was unchecking them
Okay,
when
I just
they're
want to
open.
make sure on that where you're at. And you are spiked, right, on fear?
On fear.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
Uh
scary things have been happening.
yes, it seems like a fair thing to be spiked on. As a reminder for you and Ono, when you're spiked, uh, you can tick down those spikes 1 tick at a time by rolling that stat at a 0. Alternately, you can roll another stat of any other stat at a -2, and by doing that, you'll clear out all of those ticks on that. It's kind of taking a penalty to get those cleared. So we're going to start with Cora. Cora, you are up in the vents, and I think that Trigger is not looking great. Like she did this weird thing. Her body, sorry, their body shifted, and they've come up in here, and you can tell that this has taken something out of them moving up into here. But you have pinged out. This vent ends in the bathroom that Vilpin is in, and close by that is that sort of meeting reception room where the other 3 empaths are, and you know that that's locked. So what do you want to do?
At the moment, I think Cora is just kind of. I thought about this during the week. Like, is she going to struggle to try and get out of the grasp of Trigger? But I think at the moment she's just kind of paralyzed with fear, especially given that the last roll that I had spiked her out on fear. So
Okay.
uh, I think she is kind of in a state of just, we're headed in the right direction. The roller coaster may be on fire, but at least it's pointed in the right way. So just waiting until we get to Vilpin.
So you will hit that end of that vent. You can pop that open. You'll look down. You'll see it is a small restroom. Some, like the garbage can and some other things, have been moved over to kind of push against the door to lock it. You can probably, from where you'll see that Vilpin is standing on a toilet, crouched down, trying to hide people, even though it's very clear that she went in here. And there's someone knocking at the door saying, "We're going to need you to come out. There's an alarm. We need you to exit with us now. So if you could please come out. If I don't hear from you in another minute, I'm going to have to break this door down." What do you do, Cora?
She's gonna just kind of motion to Vilpin, like, come on, let's go. She doesn't want to speak because she doesn't want anybody on the other side to know that she's there. So
Okay. Uh, Vilpin will get down, kind of open that up, and will kind of reach down and have you pull her up into this filthy vent. I don't think that's a problem. Though I think even as you're kind of pulling the last of her up into there, you'll start to hear that woomph as they start pushing to knock that door open, which will come open in a minute. And she's like, "What is going on? Hey, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with them?" Point at Trigger.
We'll talk about it when we get outside. For now, we just need to get out of here. Trust me. And if at all possible, can I pull the vent closed in such a way that people wouldn't know where we had gone necessarily?
I think that is a move to do that and conceal this to hide that. So I do think that is a risk.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna roll it with fear again, just because that's the situation we find ourselves in.
Okay.
It's a plus 0 with a spiked out stat is a 9.
It's a 9. So I think you will do that. And kind of as you are turning yourself around, you'll feel the like panic level of those 3 empaths actually go up, where you can kind of feel them. Something has changed in their situation, and now they are freaked out. You can feel their fear kind of connects into your aura, and Vilpin's like trying to shimmy along, like, where are we going? Where are we going?
Just out.
Which way is out?
We to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't really in charge of navigation on the way here. Well, I was, but it doesn't matter. The other empaths in the room, there's 3 of them, right?
Yeah, they're just down the hall in the seminar.
Were they just here with you, like just attending?
Yeah, they got talked to and came here to look for help.
All right. I think we need to try and get them out as well.
Oh, okay.
These people,
and bear with me, we could leave.
I don't know what will happen to them.
Okay.
I don't know what these people want. I need to maybe roll something on this. I'm going to roll in a conflict on this because I think Cora wants to go in, and if I fail this, then I think I'm going to just take my current win and try and get out of here as quickly as I can.
Okay.
Let me look at the emotions again. No, I think she's still frightened. That's an 8 on the inner conflict.
Okay. So on 8, that's that kind of mixed position here. You could just try and leave.
Mm-hmm.
You could lose a form of your potential, or you can overreact.
I'm gonna overreact. I'm gonna open the grate again and jump down into the bathroom.
Okay. We'll come back to you in just a second. And don't forget, I am going to, because I don't think you've used it yet, you still have +1 forward.
Yes.
Let's come back to Lark. Lark, you have this, the effect of last time, the 2 choices you made was you changed position. So you and she are in another room, and she is like you properly have that knife out, and she is very wary of you. But I do think that you are actually going to mark a 2 levels of harm as you realize that you're kind of bleeding from your nose a little bit. That sap blood mixture that you have is kind of coming down, and you're not sure what happened. That you have this like headache, and you're not sure how this woman did that to you. And she says again, "You go do what you want. I'm not here for you."
Right. So I'm trying to figure out whether I would know she's talking about Ono in this.
I think I think so. I think we've established
Okay.
you know them. You know that they have that cyber tome, and I think that feels right.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember with the bonds that we talked about. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. There I am one I have already saved Ono from Iconoclast once before.
Right.
So yeah, we'll call that
In that case,
established.
I'm pretty sure like you're going, okay, this is another one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in that case, when she says we're here for the what did she call it? The Tome Keeper?
The tome keeper.
Yeah. Um, I think Lark's gonna keep it short. I think not. And we're going to well, I don't know I guess it would be neutralized again if I'm taking this to
Yeah.
a more violent situation.
You've got 2 choices. Either
Yeah.
you can do ultimatum
Okay.
and try and threaten them down, and
Right.
and I think you roll that with advantage because you already put them on their back foot,
Yep.
or roll neutralize.
Okay. Sorry, I just need to reread. I'm not yet super
Sure,
familiar
we've
with
got
the
a lot of
basic
moves in this game, and it's
Yes.
fewer than there were before.
Okay, so make a threat. Choose. Um, okay, yeah. So I think we're going to go with ultimatum. I like that
Okay.
as a an escalating choice rather than sort of going straight to violence. So
Right.
let's see. I think I am going to roll that with power.
Okay.
Despite the nosebleed, I think Lark feels in control in this situation right
Yeah.
now. That's going to change soon, I suspect, but we'll try it. So that is a +1 with advantage, you said?
Yes.
Perfect.
So 3d6. Why do I keep shutting the roller?
Okay, so that is a 5 and a 6 +1, so 12.
Okay. So I think there is that bit where you've still got that scalpel out. Uh, uh, she let loose with whatever her best blast was, and you haven't stepped back down. And I think she walks backwards away from you, towards the wall, giving you space, like you're still by the door so you can leave. And she says, "You and your friends aren't getting out of here. You know that."
I think we will. That'll be a discussion for another for later.
She says,
All right.
"Maybe you want to explain to me what you're doing here." She says she's clearly trying to stall you.
Yeah. You don't need an explanation. You just need to stay out of our way.
I'm going to cut to Ona, who's like just a corridor or two away from you, Lark, because you kind of went back to him and then came back this
Yep.
way. Ono, you've got Chihabra, by the shoulders, and out of the corner of your eye, you will see a couple of, they look like office worker people, coming down the hall. and one of them says very loudly, Chihabra, we need you to step away from that gentleman. Chihabra is still kind of like focusing on you, like, no, it's all good. It's all good. He's not harming me at all.
Just for quick point of order, I also leveled up and added a new group as well.
Okay.
And so so can I tell, are they actually office workers, or are they would I be able to tell if they are, I mean, would that be something I could try to assess if they are
I think the thing you'll realize is that, and Chihabra hasn't picked up on this, is as they're talking, you realize that their mouths aren't moving. And they are in that iconoclast way. You can tell that's not their real faces. As they come closer, it's more like a smudge where their face is. And they're talking, and you can tell, yeah, definitely these are those hunters that pursue you.
Okay. And Lark, they're not where I can interact with them, right?
I think you have heard the noise like the next quarter over, because Lark slammed her through a door and there was some crashing sound over there, but you haven't heard anything from that since then. But you've also got the klaxon, the alarm going off as well.
Yeah, so the move I took was Voice of the Lost, which is when I attempt to change the loyalty or purpose of a named human agent of a foe, adversary, or authority, blah, 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 blah. But these are actual iconoclasts. And so it doesn't work. My read of, I thought I read that it doesn't work on actual iconoclasts, just their agents. So
right. It would work on Mercury, who Lark is interacting with, but not these two.
Right. That was what I was hoping to do, but you've thrown a slight monkey wrench in my way. So Ono looks at I wrote it down here. Chihabra. So, and looks down the hallway at them, and says, we have to go, and grabs Chihabra by the arm and starts quickly going the other way, almost as fast as he can, as fast as they can drag Chihabra with them.
So running towards where you think Lark is effectively, or a different direction,
away from the, I mean, are we,
let's say there's a T junction, and let's say that when we hit that T, one direction goes towards where Lark is at and the other direction is a different hallway.
I think we'll go towards, and again, I apologize for my did Ono see Mercury at all, or did
no, not yet.
So I just know Lark is over here doing
something that probably involved combat, given what you heard.
Ono's going to take him the other way.
Okay. I need you to roll risk here.
Okay. And I am not going to roll with, I'm spiked down on power. I think that I am going to roll with fear.
Sure.
Because Ono is afraid for what they might do to Chihabra. So that's -2 when I'm right, when you're okay. 8 with the -2.
So that is an 8. So I think you will get away, but there is a moment as you are running that you'll see one of them will do something, draw something out, and he flicks this out. And you see the red flicker of a mono whip. And you've still got a hold of Chihabra, but you've got a hold of Chihabra, his one arm, and you've got Chihabra's severed arm in your other hand as you're dragging him along. And you'll see the sort of sudden dawning realization on Chihabra's, he sees his severed arm. Blood is about to start coming. You'll see the blood drain from his face as he starts to go into shock. So they are pursuing you. You've gotten away. You've headed away from where Lark is at, but you now have a person who is going into shock in your hands. Does that seem like a fair cost?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Then I'm going to swap back to Trigger. Trigger, you've kind of gone in and out of a little bit of consciousness here, still dealing with the state. And like in the fuzziness of it, you realize that Cora kind of dragged you along towards where the bathroom was, got Gilpin up into the vent with you. There was a womp, 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 womp conversation that you heard. And then you kind of suddenly things go sharp again, because you see that rather than like taking off like back down the vent with Vilpin and you, Cora jumps down into the bathroom where you'll hear the sound of a door getting kicked in.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So
I think if you kind of pull yourself and look, you'll see that Cora has leapt down in there, and there's a security guard that has kicked in the door and is probably very surprised to see Cora.
right. Well, I'll leap down. I'll attempt to leap down or scurry down to.
Oh yeah, you don't have to leap. You can.
I can. Yeah, crawl, climb.
Yes.
Freakishly on down to. Although still a bit dazed. Down to help Cora and pull out my pistol. And who do I see when I come down? Do I get a bit
drop down into the floor of this tiled bathroom? Cora is kind of in front of you, and you just see this security guard with the Church of Convergent Science label on his lapel has kicked in the door and has essentially a stun baton in his hand, and at first is like surprised to see Cora because that's not who he was expecting to be in here. But then you come scuttling out of the vent like some exorcist moment come down. So let me have Cora act.
Yeah.
And then I want to let you have a chance to help or to change the situation up or whatnot. So Cora.
That sounds good. So Trigger scurries down, and then it's Cora. Cool.
Yeah. Cora, what are you doing? This guard's like, who are you?
Yeah, so I think in that moment, Trigger's pistol comes out, and Cora just says, like, for a moment, she's just like ice water filling her veins. Like everything suddenly snaps into like sharp focus for her. She doesn't want to be killing people. And a little bit selfishly, she especially doesn't want to be killing people at such close range, because she will feel that. She'll know what that feels like, both from Trigger's perspective and from the victim's perspective. And in that moment, I think she sees her own emotions. I think she normally doesn't see her own emotions, but she normally sees the connections between people. But in that moment, she sees the connection from herself to Trigger, to the guard, to Vilpin up in the vent. And she sees the fear that has been driving her for days, and she pushes it outwards. And I am going to roll sling.
Okay. How much flow do you want to spend on this?
it's one guy, so I'm gonna roll
One seems
2,
reasonable.
I think. I know one seems reasonable, but I also think I'm gonna have plenty of opportunities to get more in the bowels of this building. So
Sure,
I'm
sure.
gonna spend 2.
Okay.
And also not
There's
at
some
all in
nice,
control
yeah,
in this
yeah.
moment.
And there's some
This
nice,
is just a thing that
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Ooh. How did that work out? That worked out really badly. That's a 4. That's a sorry.
There's
With the
a
+2 is a 6.
That is a 6. So here are your choices at this point. I don't think this is a move that Trigger could potentially help you with. However, you do have a couple of bonds. And you could spend them. Could spend 1 to get you to 7.
I'm happy to do that, but I realized after I rolled that I still have that +1 forward. Can I use that to push it to a
Perfect. Yeah,
7, or is
let's
it too
take
late?
that since we've been sitting on that for a couple of rolls. Yeah. So that is a 7. So you get 2 effects from your
2
flow.
effects.
But before you do that, you have to describe to us what that looks like. Like, what do we see on screen that tells us that you have tapped into the psychic flow and you are throwing it at this person?
Yeah, so I think it is just that, like, those crystalline connections that she would normally see between other people. She sees a web of them coming out of her, and she sees the kind of the color, the flavor, whatever it is that indicates that this is her fear that she's seeing. And you just see it like pulse outwards like when you have a long spring and you kind of send a wave through it. You just see this wave of things going through it, and as it happens, you see that the color kind of shifts and changes along the length of the chain, and it seems to grow brighter and more intense as it gets closer to this guy standing in the doorway, until it slams into him.
Yeah.
And he is just hit with a wave of fear.
And if you decide to, do you want to inflict harm on him and knock him out? Because that 2 harm AP will take him out without killing him.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think if I can do it without killing him, then yeah, I just want to send out a wave of fear and just enough to overload his brain, and he just collapses.
Yeah. What do you want for your other effect?
I want to clear all of the spikes that I have in. Ooh. I'm gonna have to. I'll clear out the spikes I have in fear, because that's what I narrated.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fine.
And so suddenly, after that, Cora is all of the fear is just gone from her, and in this moment, she's feeling confident and strong and ready to tackle a building full of lunatics.
What is your reaction to that trigger before I cut back down to Lark?
Does Trigger get hit with the wave of fear?
No, the targeted one, so it's single target.
Oh, it's single target, so it's not like an area effect or anything. Yeah.
No, but I do have something for that, but it won't be now. There is definitely something that Cora has learned in that moment.
So it's from Trigger's perspective. What does Trigger see? Like, Trigger just sees this guy just fall down. Like, is that effectively what? Okay. Trigger looks at Cora like curiously. Oh, sorry, Mike, you were going to say.
I was going to say you might have felt some of that wave of fear, but it doesn't have lasting impact on you.
Okay. So, like, the hairs on the back of Trigger's neck stand up, and sees, glances at Cora, and then quickly scurries forward to close the door, so that no one can see, and puts the pistol away, and says, "What do we do now? Should we go back in the
three
bin?"
others in a room. There's 3 others in a room down the hall. We're not leaving without them.
Mm. Trigger quirks an eyebrow, and is there more security down the hall? I'll check. And he
I don't know.
opens the
Oh,
door,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
I think
open the door,
yeah,
and there's
definitely see some
Yes.
other security.
yeah.
I think that you'll hear from up above you. Vilpin says, "So are we going this way now, or are we going to the vent?" Cora,
This way. Try not,
she'll climb down.
try not to kill anyone.
Okay. I will ask you a question. You don't have to answer right now, but when I come back to you, I'm going to want an answer to it. Is what ability did we define that Vilpin has?
There was one that was something along the lines of charging up objects.
Okay, that's
So
right.
kind of something like Gambit from X-Men.
Okay. So keep in mind that she has that ability in your quiver as well. Lark, I'm cutting back down to you. You kind of at the door, kind of step back out, keeping an eye on her, right? And you can see down that corridor, you'll see Ono kind of hit that T and turn. Then you'll see the snicker snack of that whip. And you see Ono kind of stumble, pulling along Chihabra in 2 parts down that hallway. And you can tell that there are some people coming down, like pursuing him. What do you want to do?
And we still don't know anything about where the people we're trying to be rescuing are, right?
Oh, well,
Like,
you do know that they're on
well,
the on the
they're on
floor
6th.
above you.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But
Okay.
that's the extent of the knowledge that you have right now.
Okay.
Especially because Veil Communications have been locked down in the building. We established that last time.
Right. Okay. So that okay. I think Lark is. God, I'm torn. I feel like I need to not lose track of Ono in the mayhem, but also I feel like maybe we'd be better served by I don't know. I was trying to figure out if he'd be better served by pulling folks. Now that I know there's iconoclasts in the area, like trying to pull them in a different direction rather than but they're likely to know where he is, right? Like they're not going to be that distractible. So yes, I think Lark is going to I don't have anything that would help. Okay. So we don't know anything about how the iconoclasts found Ono or find Ono in general. Like, do we know? Is there some?
No, that remains a mystery.
Okay.
What you know probably from Ono's description is that he's not sure exactly what their deal is, where they come from. He knows that they appear kind of faceless to him and they speak in his mind, and they're servants of something else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think what Lark is going to do. So one of the pieces of gear that I have is a sleeve transmitter with the tags close and jamming. So I think what Lark is going to try and do is follow down the corridor. Hopefully, I don't know if there's like or I don't know if there's a parallel corridor. Probably not. Like don't love the idea of going past the mono whip, but here we are. And try and use essentially get cover from the jamming that the sleeve transmitter is providing to help him and Ono essentially escape the, you know, whatever either the building security tracking or the iconoclast tracking, and sort of lose their pursuers.
So it seems to me that what we're trying to do is you're trying to divert. You're going to use the jammer, try and cause some chaos in the local veil to cloud their perceptions, you know, in a kind of uncontrolled way to get them to get an opportunity.
Perfect.
So what do you want to roll that with?
So I think that character sheet. I think we are rolling fear here.
Okay.
Because now we've got the iconoclast behind me that I know about. I've seen mono whips and people being dismembered. Like the stakes are rising somewhat.
Yes, the situation is escalated.
Yes, it has. So that is a 0.
Okay.
I don't think I have any other.
So here's what you do. Because you're using this piece of cyberware to give you the fictional position to do that, you'll mark that.
I don't think is the sleeve sorry, I'm not clear. I don't think the sleeve transmitter is
that's
cyberware.
not cyberware.
I think it's
so
gear.
that's just equipment. That's gear. So you don't need to do that. Now,
Okay.
if you have a piece of cyberware that you think would help with this, you can mark that to give yourself a +1.
I don't think I do.
Okay.
That's yeah, sadly. Yeah. So yep, so I guess I'll just roll flat 2d6.
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong? That is an 8.
That is an 8, so you get to pick 2.
I do. So I think that given this, I'm going the things I want are you create an opportunity for you or someone else, and you're able to slip away.
Okay.
I think that captures what I was looking for.
So let me suggest this is what we'll see here is I don't think you can run past to follow Ono. I think that you are still split up, but I think that effect will hit them, giving Ono a chance to keep moving, giving you a chance to go down a parallel corridor. What do we see on screen? Like, what is that? Do you think that jamming where it affects the augmented reality of the veil? What do we think we see here?
Yeah, so I think it's both sort of a visual, like static, kind of pulsing static, but also almost like an auditory, like screeching, like high-pitched screeching, you know, or insects buzzing, you know, something.
And let me tell you this, they really do not like this. Like they, more than you would have expected, they actually stagger back. You know, that whip is kind of still whipping around in the hallway, but like they do not care for this at all. And you go booking back down. The alarm is still going off. There are you can tell that a lot of these offices doors are locked now. They're, you know, kind of shelter in place kind of things. Anybody that you probably see now is moving in the hallway is going to be a security person, and you're kind of taking off that way. Ono, you've got a hold of Chihabara. You've got this. He's going into shock, but these things don't immediately pursue you. You see that flash and squelch of the veil at that T-junction, and you can keep moving. What do you want to do?
I think he's gonna grab. I think he's gonna try to heft him up, like whatever that you call it, like fireman carry or whatever, like up and just keep moving away from them as fast as he can. And he's trying doors, I guess, along the way, anything to try to find somewhere to go.
So right now you're trying to get to cover with the idea that of keeping this guy relatively safe. So that's another risk roll.
And just so when I rolled with fear earlier, I marked fear, but then do I clear all the spikes out of power?
So fear wasn't what you were spiked in, right? You rolled in another one. So yes, you would have cleared all the spikes
power.
that you had in power.
Okay. So it's back down to 0.
Yeah.
All right. And it only cost him his arm.
True.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. So yeah, he's still afraid, so I'm gonna mark fear and roll with that,
Okay.
which is a 1. So 12.
So that is a 12. I think that you will catch onto a doorway here that the automatic lock hadn't closed on. You're able to drag Chihabra into there, and it has a console that probably has like the ability to call other rooms and schematics and things like that. And I think you can settle Chihabra down onto one of these chairs, and you'll realize that the whip is actually, he's lost some blood, but the whip has actually cauterized quite a bit of that. So he's just mostly in physical shock. Does that seem like a fair outcome?
Yeah, and I think if it's okay, I want what I'd really like to do is he's apologizing. He's to and I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to be like this. And he's gonna obviously I was gonna say he was gonna tourniquet it, but it doesn't look like he needs to do that. And then he's gonna leave the room because he doesn't want to, and he's gonna, and then I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave and then keep going. And I'm looking for another stairwell to get up because we're still one level.
Yeah.
To get up off this level because
Okay.
he doesn't want to stay there and put his life further at risk.
So right now, you and Lark are both in the wind, moving through the halls, looking for stairwells up. I think because Lark already has a good sense of the layout from the Omni device, and because you're able to kind of check like the floor plans here, that the two of you are headed for pretty directly for stairwells going up. We'll come back to you two in just a moment. Trigger. Yeah, there's a couple of security out in the hallway, standing on a door there. And one of them is looking this way because their pal kicked in this door and then fell over. And then the door shut and then it opened again. So they're kind of doing that thing where they're turning and looking, and what do you do?
Trigger backs away from the crack in the door and turns to Cora, and says, "There's guards there," and then like reaches out and puts an arm on your shoulder, Cora, and stumbles and you can see at that point Trigger's looking again pale, but also maybe you notice that there's some blood dripping onto the floor from Trigger's arm. You can see like it's they're not holding the arm right, but then looks, and Trigger like steadies themselves and looks into your eyes, Cora, and says, "Are you sure, Cora? This is very dangerous. We have Velpen. Are you sure we want to go and risk it?"
At this point, I think it might be more dangerous for them. And you can just see intensity in her eyes. But all fear is gone from her for this moment. But she is still filled with sadness and anger because I've just about spiked out on both of those things.
Yeah.
So this is a reckoning has been coming for Cora for a while, and she has the opportunity to strike back at the people that have done this, and she's angry. She doesn't want to permanently harm anybody, but she wants to take something away from them, and she wants to save the people that she cares about.
Yeah. And that trigger, you know, an image of Trigger's parents' building comes to their mind, and they grit their teeth and say, okay, but we need a plan quick. They'll be coming.
I'm just going to tell them to leave us alone. And she kind of smiles. We'll see whether or not that works.
Come
Okay.
out of the bathroom with your hands up.
So
Better
the
do what
door's
man
still
says.
pretty much closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's ajar. And Trigger looks at Cora and readies their gun, but doesn't move.
And Cora will go to the door, raise kind of one hand, use the other hand to open the door and step out.
We'll see that the two guards have moved about half the distance towards here. One of them has kind of gone down on one knee, has a flechette pistol out. The other one is kind of standing, like trying to assess what's going on here. You can tell that there's some stuff going on with comms where they're not able to communicate. And the one who has the flechette pistol aimed at you says, "Get on the ground."
You don't have to do this. You could just go home.
And Trigger points the pistol at the one with the
Oh,
pistol.
So Trigger, as soon as you like the pistol starts to come down and they see the pistol, they are going to open fire. Cora, I will give you the opportunity to do your action before they start blazing away with flechette rounds into here when they see weapon.
I'm going to sling again. I've only got one flow left, unless
Yeah.
this counts for getting one when I put myself in harm's way for the purposes of my
Ooh,
burden.
that's really interesting. Yeah, you know what? I'll give you that. That seems fair. You really are doing that. So,
All right, then I'm going to spend 2 again.
okay.
See if I can roll better. Come on, what's happening? Lost connection to page.
It's a 9 on my page.
Yep.
Yes, I do
Okay.
see a 9.
So that is a 9. So you have then I believe 2 picks.
Could Trigger help in
Um,
this situation or not?
Now again, I using the
no.
flow, the psychic powers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although from last time,
Um,
bonds could come into play. If you wanted to go up to a 10.
Yeah, I think Trigger's burned through all of his bonds pretty early. I just have a question about
Sure.
what happens if I spike out one of their emotions?
So basically, narratively, they will be overcome by that. And then it will spike out the emotions in them, Vilpin,
Vilpin
and Trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for the sake of narrative complexity, that is kind of what I want to do. But then I want to spend one of my hold to exclude.
And
Trigger from it.
Another point that Lark made earlier that is fair is if you wanted to spend one of your bonds, you could take that to a 10 to give yourself 3 hold.
And give me one more.
And that would allow you to exclude both Trigger and Vilpin.
Yeah, go on. I will do that.
Okay.
No, I won't. I won't.
Okay.
I won't. And I have reasons why I don't want to do that. So I'm going to exclude Trigger. I won't exclude Vilpin, and
Okay.
I'm going to throw. What do I want to throw at them? Do I just want to make them afraid? I kind of feel like Cora's got no fear left. To throw at them, which I realize doesn't make a difference mechanically.
It's up to you.
I want to fill them with sadness.
Okay. And they will be hit by that overwhelming wave of that despairing moment will hit them with the full force of the spike out on that. I think you'll hear the racked sobs as the first one drops his pistol and it falls on his hands and knees, and he's trying to get his helmet off because it's filling with his tears. And the other one is just slumped down. That wave of sadness and depression walk over them, and you'll hear Vilpin now behind you sobbing in the corner, just fetal position, curled up.
Yeah. And I will turn and I'll tell Trigger, grab their weapons, and I'll turn to try and help Vilpin. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Grab up Vilpin. She is sobbing and crying. I think this is a good point, actually, to narratively for a moment. I think Lark, Ono, as you come hit the stairs, and I imagine that there's like a cross corridor, so you both hit the top of the stairs kind of at the same time, and you can see across, and you will see that there are guards lying on the floor weeping, just in tears here. You're not sure what is going on. And I imagine that like you kind of make contact and you'll see Trigger and Cora is kind of carry walking this young woman. Cora, Trigger, you'll see Lark and Ono. Lark has blood, sap running down their face. Ono has a thin smear of blood on him.
What weapons do they have? Because Trigger has them in their hands.
Oh yeah, you grabbed up their flechette pistols, and they got stun
They're both-
batons. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Trigger, carrying their arm a little askew, goes up to Lark and Ono and says, "Here, take these, just in case. Use them only if we have to."
What's the play? We're getting out of here, right? We've got Vilpin.
There's 3 more just down the corridor. We can
have
get everybody.
We have to leave right now. Something that you don't understand. This got bigger than you know. We have to leave right now. We're in terrible, terrible danger.
Well,
Yeah,
then
there
so
was-
are they.
We can't leave them behind. And Trigger looks at Cora, nods.
And at this point,
Get
just
them.
from everything happening, Cora's eyes are just filled with tears to the point where it's just like leaking out of one eye.
I think it's no problem for you to get that corridor where these other 3 are locked away, get that open, and get yourselves into there. And the question is, oh no, do you want to move all these people out of here? You can probably hear the onomastics coming up the stairs. You hear the tears and wailing and weeping of these security people, but they are starting to hold in their racking sobs. You've got 4 of these empaths who are also crying, and you're kind of having to keep them steady. What do you do, Ono?
Let me ask, and if the answer to this is who knows, then I'm okay with that. Is there any chance the rest of them would get out of here? Ono's thinking about doing something really stupid.
Are you
Yeah.
asking us or the group, or are you asking? Because Trigger will.
You're on the 6th floor of a lockdown, heavily secured building, and while all the guards are currently knocked out on this floor, that is this floor.
Right. All right. I won't. Ono's not going to do the really stupid thing then. Yeah. Let's go home.
And let's have you roll Asylum, and let's hope it works.
Is that a straight roll, or do I do?
You always roll with an emotion.
Okay.
Unless it says roll with like plus flow or roll with nothing.
Yeah. No, I think I can.
Yeah.
Spend an insight to get an additional pick if
you succeed.
If I succeed. All right. They're going to, fear again.
Okay. Roll with the +1.
Mm, 9.
That is a 9. So you get to choose one.
Bring allies in and out with you.
Okay. And I think that's the whoosh that we've seen before on screen of you using the cybertome and your powers to zip everyone away from here. There's that woof. And the room is empty. And we'll take our first break here, and then we'll come back. So take 10.
Awesome.
So we take up again with the group at the sanctuary. And I think maybe there are more phantoms here than there were last time. Like, enough that it's notable. But you are all gathered there. I think you will set these 4 empaths down. Am I going to sneeze? Am I not? It's a cliffhanger. Empaths down. They are working out that last bit of the crying jag that they were set into, and you kind of set them down. I think it's going to be a bit for they're kind of perceiving what's going on around them. If anyone has any harm that is 1 level or 2 level worth of harm, the first 2 boxes, that goes away. You sit down, you recover. That's bruising, catch your breath, that kind of thing. Very basic medical care. And again, this is there are 2 people who I can imagine talking first here. One is Cora, just because of the emotional roller coaster that Cora has gone through, but the other is Ono, because of the arcane things you mentioned before you transported them here. So who talks first?
After you.
I think Ono will. Ono is gathered up like blankets and things or whatever, and is like doing that sort of like first aid scene you see, putting like especially the empaths, right? And maybe giving them some, I'm assuming there's some sort of like packaged energy drink thing or something
Mhm.
to give people. That's what we'll see them doing at this moment, just trying to reassure them and calm them, down with the sort of the basics, right?
And Cora, what do we see of you as Ono is getting these people sort of settled?
I think she's probably avoiding Ono because she pushed him to stay when he wanted to leave. And because Lark and Trigger both were seemingly injured, she'll be checking in on them to just make sure that they're okay. She will check on Lark first, I think.
Lark, how are you doing? What's your reaction after all of this chaos?
I mean, I think a little bit stunned. I'm not sure that Lark has been involved in too many breaking and entering scenarios before, but also feeling fairly upbeat, both the sort of success and the relative unscathedness of everything. I think he's still not really sure what happened with Mercury, who also I don't think he knows who that is, right? Like, and no one else saw her, so but
That's happened twice now. We've had two different PCs have had one-on-one encounters with Mercury, and nobody's connected the dots.
So yeah, so the like, and I don't know that he would. Well, I think he's probably got
the iconoclasts were there. Like
yes,
that's
right.
That's a key thing you do know.
Right. I do know that the iconoclasts are there, and I know that she is one of them, but that's sort of all that. I think Itzy is running a bit of a Itzy is the newly named Omni tool.
Okay.
And so Itzy is running a sort of a diagnostic because again there was this unexplained bleeding. So that's kind of going on in the background.
Do you think you're doing a study move of some kind? Do you want to kind of like is Itzy like assessing what happened before and what happened now to ask some questions?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you want to roll that with?
I think that's probably I think it's probably peace.
Okay.
In sort of a relief, it's the the coming down off of the adrenaline high. So yeah, we'll tick peace up.
Okay.
Sorry, what move am I actually running? What am I rolling here?
Oh, so we've got under basic moves,
yeah.
we've got this is kind of, I think we're going to kind of do this as assess. You are reading what happened before, using through Itzy's eyes what's going on, trying to kind of put things together.
Perfect. That is a 10.
That is a 10. So you have 2 hold.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so well, I think the first thing is that I would like to know what it is that Mercury did to me, right? Something happened to Lark internally, and he doesn't understand it, and that's sort of primary concern. Maybe he can then figure out, some cyberware to fix, prevented or other things.
You will know it was no like your sensory gear and so on is pretty good at detecting like electromagnetic forces, weapon stuff, things like that. It wasn't anything conventional. It seemed an unusual set of energies, and I think the closest thing you would say is that was a psychic attack.
Okay. And then I have another hold.
You want to sit on that for a minute and think?
I think I do.
Okay, yeah. And don't forget, again, I can ask a question, can make a declaration.
Yep.
Let me check in with Trigger before I come back to Cora. How are you doing, Cora? You got hit a little bit. What looks different now that you're out in clearer light? How have you changed?
This is for Trigger, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we roll the transform move? The start of session move?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I also wanted to ask Lol if you thought that or perhaps it's better addressed to Mike, if Trigger willing to go and risk their life to save these empaths for Cora and for their own sake, would that be enough sufficient to gain a bond with Cora?
Yeah, that seems reasonable. We have that as a thing that you can pick that up when you help
Okay.
someone in that way.
Okay, great.
And also you need some bonds.
Yeah, that's right. I've used them all. And that's an 8 on the transform roll. So
Okay.
I believe that's 2 ticks.
So start a session, roll transform, a 7 to 9, add 1 tick to the clock and generate
one
one
tick.
generate
one
chrysalis.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm up to 3 chrysalis now. And I'll mark the bond with Cora. And I'll put luck in there. So.
And what you have changed, like that being able to walk on walls is significant change to your physicality in some way. So what do we see that tells us about that?
I think we see it because Trigger was hurt when they smashed themselves into the vent to take Cora up there, and that was, we saw them, their arm was bleeding and they were holding it in a strange way. And so while this other stuff is going on, Trigger takes off their ruined leather jacket, which they've been wearing anyway, but it's got like a gunshot in it, and it's been torn to shreds by the vent, and they gingerly take it off. And I think that and they take off their top as well, and you can see there's like a gash that's been down their arm where they crashed into the vent, and they kind of stretch it out, and then I think they've rubbed their they're rubbing their palms together, and and you can see that there's some kind of like sticky residue on their hands, and they kind of just like look at it and smell it, and then it doesn't smell bad, and then they just instinctively smear it across the cut, and it seems to you can see it glistening there, but now it doesn't seem to be bleeding anymore. And I've removed the harm as well from Trigger's thing, but you can see they kind of like hold their fingers up, like trying to assess it, and then move and then they roll their hands out, and it's unnatural, like how far they seem to be able to move their joints. It seems quite creepy how they can maneuver their hands and look at their feet, and they roll their ankles, and their feet can seem to be doing the same thing. So
now you're taking that all in. Cora, you see this. You're the one who saw Trigger kind of go through this change there. You're the one who saw Trigger. I don't think the others saw Trigger spider crawling along the walls. So now what's your reaction now that you're kind of down out of the adrenaline high to that, Cora?
So I think the other thing that I kind of want to throw into the mix, because I think it's been coming for a while, is that Cora got a look at her own emotions, which made her realize something that she'd been keeping back for a while, which is that her feelings for Trigger might be a little more than just friendship, and that she's not afraid of what's happening to him because she feels like she knows him and she knows who he is at his core, and she still senses that. And so whatever is happening to him, she's concerned and she wants to help him. But she realizes that it might be a little bit more. So I think that, Jonathan, if that's cool with you, I think we've both been heading in that direction for a bit. So.
Yeah. That's great.
So I think she might walk in as he's kind of flexing, and I don't know if he tries to hide that from her, but she will cross the space between them. And are you all right?
He's Trigger's looks up a bit surprised and tenses, but looking at Cora, relaxes and holds out their hand and says, to Cora to look, and Cora can see there's this glistening kind of viscous liquid on their hands that's translucent, but it's kind of glistening in the light.
And she'll take the back of his hand to turn it over to just hold it in her hand and just reach out and put her hand on top of his, it's just your hand, Trigger.
I don't know what's happening to me. Do you know anymore? When is this going to stop?
I don't know. When we were here last and we looked, I wasn't entirely honest with you. I did see something. I saw you sitting on a train and someone spoke to me, but it wasn't you. And they told me to leave. But I'm not going anywhere, Trigger. Whatever is happening, you're surrounded by friends and we will help you through it.
I think all the stress and adrenaline of the last minutes, or hours, kind of washes over Trigger, and they kind of reach for you and embrace you, and you can feel this, Cora, because you can sense Trigger's emotions, and it's just it's this overwhelming feeling of anguish and relief, and that Trigger's holding back tears and is just looking for comfort in this embrace. But you could also sense that maybe there's a little bit more there too.
Mechanically, both of you can mark a bond on one another. Cora, you'll mark a flow for the intimacy move.
Yep.
And then you can think about asking a question. And Jonathan, you get another piece of hold that you can use to raise a result up.
Mhm.
Let me come back to you in a second. Oh no. You'll see Cora and Trigger having a moment. You've got these people settled down. You see that there are more spirits here than before. And like you've just come out of a pretty life or death situation. So what are you doing?
So Ono had kind of drifted away and has just been observing the whole scene and seeing everybody, and they're starting to come to a bit of an internal conclusion about he see all these people that he cares about and everything, and so they're going to go. So I don't know if you remember, but there's like a spiral staircase that leads up right out of the. They're
Sure.
gonna like kind of exit the scene and go up the staircase, and so it's like sort of an observation room at the very top of this, and it's like glass all the way around and everything like that, and it's sort of a place that they go, to meditate and do those sort of things, and they want to reach out and try to contact the iconoclasts.
How would you do that?
I'm thinking that they would open themselves up to the veil and reach out to
Yeah,
try to contact
Right.
that.
I don't think necessarily you know how to contact them, but I do think that lifting the veil to maybe try to get some insight into that process maybe is a first step to that. Does that seem fair?
Yep, that's fair. Yep.
What do you want to roll that with?
They're gonna roll with peace. Yeah. No. Sadness.
Okay. So that is a 13. So
I do kind of want to fail some of my rolls.
I know, and yet you're not. I like that sweet XP.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things you will realize is that like this is a piece that that the player has described that maybe Ono doesn't have a sense of yet. And I think that you have a sense that your location, your sanctuary, your cybertome is critically tied into this area and to the veil of this area. We've kind of described that it's kind of organic to it in a weird way. And I think that you will realize that the iconoclasts are not entirely unlike you in that there is another piece of something out there where the veil is tied in and something is weird is going on with the veil. And who those iconoclasts are, you're not sure. Maybe they're like you. Maybe they have their own cybertomes. Maybe there are more of them. Maybe they're spirits like the spirits that you have in your place. You're not sure. Definitely have agents. But I think the other thing you realize is that those iconoclasts aren't the only one. Like, I think you can feel that there are other places in the city where there are nodes, there are nexuses like this, where there's something like this happening. And I think you will also realize that one of those nodes is broken. And you kind of reach out and feel it. And I think you'll have a moment of recognition as you recognize that that node must have been beneath Trigger's family's building. But it's not there anymore. So that's a info I'm giving you, and now you've got some hold to follow-up questions, or you can reveal a detail.
Well, let me tell you what's going on in Ono's head.
Sure.
That they are considering to protect the people that they care about is to turn themselves over to the iconoclasts.
Certainly. Okay.
That's kind of what they're thinking. I think that scene of everybody together and those sort of things, they're concerned about the harm that could befall everyone else because of them. And with this other information that they're starting to put together, they're wondering if the key to the cyber tome might be with the iconoclasts.
That's a thing to think of. So what is your question, or what is your detail? What do you want to know? Do you want to know what you can see happening if you do that?
Yeah.
I think you kind of reach out your mind, you reach out your possibility, you kind of envision the cyber tome, and I think you see yourself like Aliens 3 style, kind of falling back into something glowing. And I think you see yourself falling and yourself vanishing. And I think you see all of these spirits and ghosts that are here getting eaten and swallowed and consumed by the iconoclasts. And I think you see the iconoclasts becoming greater and stronger. And I think you see a vision of people being changed elsewhere in the world. And it's not good. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Seems like a lot of answer.
Okay. Lark, let's come to you. We kind of have you been in the midst of this. You've gotten transported into here. Stuff with the emotions. Cora and Trigger are having a moment. What do we think that you're seeing and doing here?
So I have a few things. First, I'm trying to figure out if Lark has been here before. So I was looking at the bond questions that we had, and it sounds like I helped save Ono from the iconoclasts in the past, and you helped me build ITZY. Neither of those necessarily has me in the asylum.
It does make sense if he had to come here to get the tech that would have been used to make it.
True, right? That's true. Yeah. So that's sort of it does.
It does count though as a new place if you want to scavenge around here.
Well, right. That is part of why I was asking. Is like, ITZY may go scrounge, but also because I think I max out at 3 scrap. ITZY there. We may be doing some on the fly modifications, which then brings me back to the hold that I have around this fight with Mercury. So I think the question I want to ask is, Lark really wants to know how he could interfere, disrupt, protect from this sort of psychic attack in the future, either himself or others. And I guess related is sort of, well, given that the Kansai, the tech that ITZY was scrounging had to do with their sort of scanning and viewing. I guess the thing I'm trying to figure out is there a connection there?
Let's kind of. I think that what you've seen and the data that you've gotten is enough that if you wanted to use junkware,
Yep,
you could build yourself essentially a piece of psychic armor.
perfect.
Effectively, that would be to we'll say add that as a tag to something, and we'll call it psychic armor. Basically, it's an armor effect. You can, like you do with regular armor, you can tag it to reduce damage once by 2 points.
Okay, yeah. So then I think I do want to use junkware to see sort of what we can do around a
Sure. What
psychic.
is your scrap at right now?
My scrap is at 2 right
Okay.
now.
Do you want to roll with the +2 or do you want to scrounge first?
I think I want to roll with the +2.
Okay.
And that's a 10.
That's a 10, so that's 3 hold.
Again, with it would be nice to get some XP as well, but we'll take it. Right, so 3 holds. So I think I will. So is the psychic armor 1? That would be 1 tag.
Yeah, I would put that as a tag on an existing piece. I think you've still got a blank space for.
Yes, I do have a blank space. Can you only have 3 cyberware? I guess I'm not sure what the like.
So that's what you start with. Now you could, because of what you do, you could say, okay, I'm going to build a new thing.
Right.
And its first tag is psychic armor.
Yeah. Well, right. I think I only started with 2. That was
okay. That's right. That's right.
The Catalyst only starts with 2. I just wasn't sure if 3 was the max or just sort of a okay.
No.
Yeah. So I think he's going to essentially attempt to figure, using all the data that ITZY has been collecting, to build something new. And I haven't quite figured out how to describe it yet. But looking to both to take the psychic armor tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also want to I think what I'm hoping to do is also give it like maybe a close tag, in that I'm hoping to be able to use that armor to like protect someone else in the vicinity.
Yeah. So let's say this, let's put that in that 3rd slot.
Yep.
Call it, whatever you want to call it. Put the 2 tags as psychic armor and close.
So, and then I think my 3rd hold is to not give it a negative.
Okay. Well, so you would only give it a negative tag if you had a 3rd tag on it.
Well, okay. So, okay, I wasn't sure if, as I was reading junkware, whether the not require a negative tag was any new thing would require a negative tag unless you use that hold, or if that was only if you were doing a new thing that had 3 tags.
Only if you're doing a new thing that had a number of tags.
Got it.
Right.
Well, okay.
Yeah, it's one that the terminology is a little bit screwy there, but what we ended up deciding on was that and that new thing term probably needs to get cut from that, is that you only take the negatives if you do 3 tags. So
okay.
Yeah.
So then, all right. So then in this case, I'll do psychic armor 1 close, and I won't take harm.
Okay. Absolutely. So you can get that settled in there for yourself. Is it something mechanical, or is it biomechanical? Is it Cronenbergian? Like, what do we see you doing?
Yeah. I think I need to think about it. I'm not quite sure yet.
Sure. No, absolutely. Is it okay if I kind of pull the 4 of you together to maybe have to confer like again around that table that you've been around before. There's the food here, some of it naturally grown, materials that Ono has at hand. I think that we're definitely again seeing more of these spirits around, but they're still back. They're still not making noise, but they are around there, and you all can talk about what happened. So, Cora, I think right now the psychics are there, and let's say, just to kind of move a little bit more information onto the table here, Vilpin will sit down and says, "I'm talking to the others. Apparently, after I left, they got more pressing of the people, and doing a hard sell and started to threaten them. And they said that they could protect them, but even better, they could take these powers away from them. They could fix them." She said, I don't want to be fixed, but for a couple of them, these powers have been really unpleasant, and they were excited by the possibility. They mentioned that there was some place called the Black Law that they could take them to. I don't know what that means. Look, I was really just looking for a place to crash, and they said they had like you go in, like when you go to one of those crappy like corpo churches, and they got like a food spread for you, and they give you the spiel, and then you get a meal, and maybe they send you some vouchers for some extra upgrade comps and stuff. I thought it was just going to be like that, maybe.
And what did they get out of it? These Black Law.
They,
what did they want in return?
I think by the time that they were leaning in heavy on that stuff, they weren't like promising anything back or explaining themselves.
Black Law was connected to the explosion that happened in the city earlier in the week. The building. They did something to that building, and then they hired someone to make it look like it was done by empaths. I don't know whether or not it was. And then they hired someone else to make it, to spread that, to make people fear empaths, make them hate us. And all of that would have driven more of us to their arms. That doesn't sound like somebody that has our best interests at heart.
And Philip says, "Yeah, I am getting that now." So, and she'll take a look around at this place and at Spider Baby, and she's like, "But this is like I don't know left from right now, Cora." But yeah, it seems like they're kind of shitty.
Well, they're not going to stop. We've set them back a day, maybe two. There'll be more empaths looking for help, and they will be there with open arms. And she kind of looks to the rest of the table. What do we do?
Trigus leans forward and says, "Yeah, we have to stop them." They nearly killed my family. My parents have no home now to go to yet. We have to stop them before they ruin other people's lives too. And you can see Trigger's very angry.
Can we take the fight to them? I don't know. I mean, I feel like we barely made it out of Kansai. You know, if we didn't have Ono pulling all of us out, I don't think we would have made it. If you know, there's not that many of us. I think we need to do something more subtle if we're going to actually stand a chance to disrupt what they're doing.
Maybe there's
Do we
a
know anything about this?
Oh no.
maybe there's a way to counter the smear campaign. Surely, you know, we've uncovered information, but perhaps if we could get our hands on more of the data, we could turn the tables, you know, and go public with what they're doing. I'm not sure taking the fight. I agree with Lark. I'm not sure we were very successful at taking the fight to them that way, but perhaps a different approach. You know, fight them using the same misinformation, but counter that, you know.
What do we need to do then? Do we know? I mean, it's our word against theirs. Who's going to believe us? We need something concrete.
If we
Do
had
we know anything about this Black Claw?
evidence that if we had something concrete linking Black Law to the building and linking Kansai and Black Law, like could we we'd have to find it somewhere. But if we had something hard and not just various people say so, maybe we could get that out there, or even just get it out to the empaths, right? Like if they're trying to collect empaths and they're trying to collect power from the empaths, right? Maybe if they're stripping empaths of their abilities, maybe that, you know, maybe we don't have to convince everyone, although certainly I would love to get them drummed out of the city. But if we can get the empaths from going to them, maybe that's enough.
I will now provide some information because this, like all of this with Vilpin kind of set up based on the question is, how do we find out more about the rest of the psychics and how do we get in touch with them and so on. So let me give you the payoff for all of that. If I may kind of go a little bit better, is Vilpin will say, we're not supposed to talk about this. Cora, you're relatively new to this, to these gifts, and you don't come from a place. So people wouldn't have told you about this, but most of us who have these gifts come from neighborhoods. Like there are clusters of us. And there is a network among them, and like I could take you to where I come from, and you could talk to my like my family there, and if you can convince them, maybe they could spread the news out amongst the other places.
That's a good start.
It's just weird because like I've never met a psychic who's alone like you are. I mean, you didn't like everyone else I know who has gifts. There's a group of them. It isn't like a solitary thing. So I don't know what's going on with you. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I mean that. I mean, thank you for rescuing me, and thank you for making me cry like a baby in a corner. But you know, I'm just saying.
I've never been alone. And she'll look to the others of Ono and Lark and Trigger.
Yeah, I think Trigger steps in and says, Cora is not alone. You know.
Ono wants to Velpin, these neighborhoods, the building that Trigger's parents lived in, was that one of these neighborhoods, one of these areas?
Not one that I knew of. I mean, it could have been, but you know, people keep close to their families, their neighborhoods there.
Oh, is that the plan then?
I
And we
think I
can-
could
we
help.
can-
I think I could help in another way as well, if it's okay with you, Cora, and Trigger looks at Velpin as well, although like is not sure about you know, as in like to see, you know, if Velpin will agree to this, but Trigger's not sure if Velpin is what they're whether or not they trust them yet. But Trigger continues, since people know now about you and your powers, I've been thinking about what that asshole Axiom was saying about a economy of fear. Perhaps things at work haven't been so great for me, but I could try to convince Magpur to put out a campaign of pity or sympathy for empaths. Maybe tell them it's in their interest to help to stop Kansai from taking this market all to themselves. I don't know, but if people start feeling more sympathetic towards you, that would certainly hurt their cause.
I would prefer empathy to sympathy, and much prefer both to pity.
Yes, of
We're
course.
just people, Trigger.
I'm sorry. I know. I was just trying to think how to get others to help. And Trigger looks at the others and at Velpen for what they think.
Oh no.
I
What are you,
think
what are you saying? What are you sharing?
I think I think going and seeing Velpen's friends is a good idea. I also think I'm also worried that I think Ono's gonna. I'm also worried that my presence is creating additional danger for everyone. I mean, some of you know about my past, but those things at the church, they've hunted me and my kind for my whole life, and they won't stop. And it would kill me if you were hurt because of me.
Who are they?
They're called the iconoclasts. They are. I don't know. Nobody knows exactly what they are, but they have only one purpose, and they've hunted my kind to extinction. As far as I know, I'm the only one left, and that is their purpose.
What were they doing at Conside though? Is it a
I don't.
it can't be a coincidence that they were there when you were when all of this was going, like it stretches credulity a bit to say that they followed you there, right as we happened to be there, versus they were there and we showed up.
I admit that it is strange. I've never known them to have any other purpose other than hunting those of my order down and searching for does everybody here know about the tome, Lowell?
You have the tome, and it's an important piece. I assume they've seen it at least.
Yeah. And then hunting every one of my order down and attempting to take the tome, the tome. But I agree, it is strange. It's been a long time since they've found me. It does you are correct. It does stretch credulity to some degree, but I find it hard to understand how they could be involved in this. It's not like anything I've ever known with them.
Do you know why they are hunting you and your kind?
I I believe that my order has some knowledge that they wish to suppress or keep. I believe it has something to do with the tome, but I can't read, or I can't open the tome. I can't access it.
Maybe together we can look at a time when the tome was already open. To be willing to try?
I'm worried that it puts you in more danger than you already are. But if it has the chance of helping, maybe it's worth it. And on a character level, I don't. What does it take to open the tome? It's like a.
After 5 advances.
Oh God, I'll never open the tome.
I know.
Yeah, so above the table discussion, we did kind of talk before about potentially using psychometry in
Yeah.
the asylum somewhere, in the sanctuary. This could be an opportunity to explore some of those things before we get there without actually mechanically unlocking the tome, given that we. So, Joe, if that's something you're interested in, then we can do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Also, we've hinted that
I do have one question that we can back to you in a second, Jonathan. Lark, you know that person that you met was an iconoclast. Have you explained any of that to the other PCs, or are you holding that close to your chest?
No, I think, well, so I'm not sure that Lark would have, like, he sort of, like, he I'm not sure he would have known that, like, that person was an iconoclast that was sort of different in any way than the other one. You know, there were multiple iconoclasts, and he just
Sure.
happened to run into one.
Sure, it's fair if you want to hold that, or if you want to pass that on, whatever you decide.
Yeah.
And you still have a hold to ask a question as well.
Ah, okay. I thought I had already asked that in the along the vein of sort of prior to the Omni tool, but or prior to the junkware. But if that,
now, I think we've still got a hold left for
Okay.
you about a question.
well, in that case, I think the question may be then, was Mercury there? Did Mercury follow us in there, or was Mercury there ahead of time?
So I think you would have.
I think,
yeah,
yeah.
You would have recognized from what probably in this conversation Ono has described about the iconoclasts, about their facelessness. Normally, we'd have realized that this is a human agent of the iconoclasts. You would have also realized that she was clearly on site before that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I may, I think that if you describe that, I think there has to be a moment when Cora realizes who you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think then
I was
that's
even wondering if with black cybernetics and everything going on, could you recreate something in the veil to replicate her look?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I feel like
that's super easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if anyone could sort of, I don't know, paint a picture, as it were.
then yeah, Lark can, in the veil, the construct, pull that up, and clearly you will recognize Mercury there, Cora.
I know her. She's another empath. She works in the church. She's the one that warned me about all this.
Wait, she warned you about it.
She told me if somebody came offering to help people like me, that I should run. That she attacked you?
She didn't attack me. She was going to attack Ono. I thought she was security to start at first. You know, you know, she wasn't obvious security, but I thought she was with the church. And when I pulled her out of the way, she said she was looking for Ono, not in so many words, but she called him the Tome Keeper.
She's clearly an agent of the iconoclasts, and there's no one else that would even know that. Does that make it make more sense that there's a connection with the church? Or is it just a coincidence that she's involved with the church and she's an agent of the iconoclasts? Are we straining credulity?
I think there must be a connection. I mean, but I'm struggling to see what it what it is.
We can ask her. I have her phone number.
I don't feel like that's a safe move. Certainly not while you're here. I mean, I guess she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't know you know. Oh no, she saw me, but she didn't. I think we got away got away from her before we met up with you.
You know, Cora, it might not. Maybe we should contact her together. I may be able to. She clearly cares for you and doesn't necessarily seem like someone who is you know, she warned you off, right? She told you to be careful. Perhaps if I had a chance to speak with her, I might be able to convince her that what she's doing is wrong.
Yes, yes.
Well, I did offer to take her to my favorite noodle cap.
So let me ask you this: like I assume that one of our steps next time, of our scenes next time, is definitely going to be arranging a meet with her, with Mercury.
Mhm.
Do you want to do your psychometry on this location here, Cora?
Yeah, I think so. Especially because I do have the one flow from the intimate move with Trigger, so I can actually share it with Ono. We
Okay.
can, well, I can share it with anybody present, right?
Okay.
So we can
Yeah.
just do it sitting around the table.
So I imagine now we've got kind of almost a seance scene.
Hey,
Of
Mhm.
four of
grab
you.
the Ouija board out for
Yeah.
the
cyber Ouija board. That
Yeah.
little circuit patterns
Get everyone
on
to hold hands.
it.
hmm
uh,
Spirits, are you there?
what do you want to roll that with?
I'm going to roll it with. Ooh. I'm going to roll it with peace, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Let me mark that.
Let's have you roll.
That is
So
a 7.
that is a 7. So we look at that again. And sorry,
So 1 hold or 2 if I pay a cost, then I already get an extra one.
yeah. So he'll reach back. What is
would
it you
be
need to know? Ask the first question, and I'll describe what you see, and then you can ask your further questions and decide whether you want to pay a cost.
I want to know. I more or less want to know how systematic was it. So hang on. Question, I guess, for Joe here, for Ono, is this place is filled with the spirits of the other the others of your order. Were they all killed here? Like, is it when we're looking back through the history of this place, are we about to witness a massacre? Is that
So
kind of?
yeah, I don't think so, because based on the character move, this is like the last sanctuary that was undiscovered by them. So I don't think there would be any history here of that kind of violence, because based on, you know, the sanctuary, it's the one safe hold that wasn't breached. So maybe you would reach back and see people coming here, see, you know, or something, but
Depends on the question that he asks. She asks, sorry. What's your question, Cora?
Has there ever been an iconoclast here?
Ever been an iconoclast here? In this location? In this place?
Yes.
No. No, they haven't breached the walls.
Okay. Have they been? I guess that's a clarifying question. I want to be careful with that. But
Sure.
does that imply that they have been outside of the walls, like, and they can't come in, or that they, as Joe was saying, that they maybe never found this place?
I think that this won't count as a question, but I think that's something that Joe has. We've already established in the fiction that this was a place they weren't able to find.
They couldn't find it. Okay.
So you've got one more question or 2 questions with a hold, if you want to spend a cost.
What would the cost be in this case?
Well, let's ask your first question first.
What do we want to know here? Why are there spirits floating around this place that seem to be different from anywhere else where such a thing happens? Why here? Why them?
It is the way I think you will see as they pass away here, that they do something. They take the cybertome and they have it with them when they die. And when their bodies give up, the cybertome processes them and their spirits emerge. And it is a way for them to continue the project.
Forgiven. What would be the cost to ask another question?
I think the cost to ask another question let me see here. Is that this place is going to put you in its debt, and you're going to have to add the sanctuary to your debt pool.
What is the project?
Project is the making of something new, someone new, some person new. Each of these awakened places is making a new humanity. And I think you will see the flicker of these spirits, and you will see them standing over a body in an alley, clearly having enacted some of this, and the camera will tilt down, and you will see Trigger lying in an alley, the veil crackling around these spirits. And I think all of you see this.
Yes.
All of you see that these are the things that did this to Trigger. And there's a hum from the cybertome when that revelation comes around. Let's say 3 XP, and we're going to end right there. Does that sound fair?
Sounds good to me.
I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. Again, we've got 3 sessions left. So when we're looking at wishes, we're also maybe kind of looking forward to sort of the end game. One of the other things, by the way, Joe, as another way of opening the cybertome is if we're in like the last session or 2, you can take that as an advance, is to open the cybertome at that point, if we're at campaign end, that kind of thing. So that's the way I've run it before. So let's go around to stars, things you dug, and wishes being things you'd like to see more of, things you want to see for your character, things you'd like to see less of. I'll start this time with Lark.
So I having sort of this being the first time, well, I'm loving the sort of the sanctuary and the connections out to the other sanctuaries, and sort of Ono's sort of self-sacrificing in for or sort of willingness to self-sacrifice for the group. Just feel like that's sort of added a lot. So very nicely done there, Joe. And then the sorry, cats. The I liked sort of watching the Cora Trigger relationship develop in this episode. That was great. I think as far as wishes, I mean, I I don't I don't think this is necessarily wish for next session specifically. But I really want to start maybe it is. I want to start pulling the threads I feel like we have a lot of it feels like there's a lot of tendrils out. And I want to start sort of pulling them into,
No, I think that's
hopefully
fair. We've pulled some of those together. We've knotted some of them together, but there's still, as you say, there's a lot of threads out there. So yeah, we'll see if we can run down some of those. And I definitely want to give us a chance next time. You were kind of like I want to give a chance for us to look at some of the dimensions of your characters. Combination of the natural and the cyber and so on, because we didn't get as much a chance to do that this time. I definitely want us to do that and explore that and maybe how that connects to the changing of the world in some way. Jonathan.
I thought for a second I couldn't unmute. I was clicking the button several times, and that fear ran through me like one of Cora's waves. But you can obviously hear me now, so that's great. Yeah, thanks everyone. Another great. It was great to burst in on the scene of the action. So I really enjoyed that action. It felt like really tense and dramatic. So thanks Lol, a huge star for that. And also Mike for Cora's willingness to go in, to rescue the empaths at all costs. And obviously the intimacy that her and Trigger are developing is really cool. That we kind of faded to black on that scene, and I'm curious to know what actually happened there, because that will cause Trigger all sorts of internal turmoil because for those who may not be aware, Trigger is in a relationship with someone else, a romantic relationship with someone else. So that's I would love to do a flashback at some point,
sure,
to see what happened there and what their ramifications are for them and the relationships. But yeah, the big star there, Mike. Thanks. And Joe, as always, Ono's self-sacrifice is just is huge. And I'm curious to see what part Desi plays in this, in Ono's heart and priorities. Like as soon as you said, I want to give myself up to the iconoclast, I'm like, oh no, what's Desi gonna, what about Desi? Or that's Destiny, Trigger's sister, who Ono's having a relationship with. So yeah, I'm keen to see how these threads and the development of this story affects the relationships that we've established, and how I'd love to see how so some of Lark's human side and emotions in their relationships, because we haven't had a chance to explore their story as much. So I'd love to see some of that too. But I'm like Lol and yourself, Kale. I'd love to see how this nature and technology fuse, and I was considering that with Trigger's gifts as well. So maybe this substance is like some sort of mechanical fluid or something like that. So we'll see. But yeah, and I'm really enjoyed. I thought a star for you, Kale, in bringing in Mercury's relationship and making everyone aware of that and tying that thread together was really great. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Mike?
Oh, sorry. I did want to clarify just as well,
sure.
Mike. When Trigger was suggesting about pity or sympathy, that wasn't that. Just wanted to clarify, that was about them being persecuted, not necessarily about
Fair enough.
them as people, right? I think Cora would have understood that, but I wanted to clarify that in case
Yep.
that was.
No, that's fine. Going around the table, I had stuff for I don't know, just I think everyone's brought up is kind of self-sacrifice, but I think also I love that every time Ono brings somebody to the sanctuary, he is immediately bringing them blankets, making them food. Like, it is such a beautiful character beat every single time it happens. So I wanted to start that. Yeah, I love the moment of contemplation of just like, maybe I should just give up. Like, maybe that would be what's best for everyone. And I hope that doesn't happen, but maybe that's the ultimate end of Ono. We will see. For Trigger, yeah, the moment of intimacy with Cora was that was a beautiful moment, and I'm so happy we got to play that out. And yeah, I'm interested to see what that means for the two of them going forward. It's kind of it's going to be awkward conversations. In between sessions, I wrote down like, here's all the things that here's all the threads that I kind of want to pull on, and it was like, what's going to happen with Trigger and Whiskey? But then right under that, it's like, but this also probably requires figuring out what's going to happen with Trigger and Cora, which is why I wanted to bring it back in. Falak confronting Mercury and getting her to back down, that was great. That was a great opening to the session for that. I knew who that was at the end of the session when Law brought her in. I was like, I'm sure that's Mercury, and then to find out that it was, that was great. And to have like tinkering on his cyberware and kind of like, I have a problem and how can I solve it? And then just solving it. that was great. I love that. And for LOL, some really nasty hard moves in the session, which is that's always fun to play with and interesting. And just weaving everybody's thing together and kind of creating this braid of story. Bravo, really well done. In terms of wishes, I have a bullet point that just literally has the word something in it, which I had to have because OneNote would remove my bullet point.
Okay.
I don't know. I want to see a conclusion to these stories, and I want to see what happens with these characters. And it feels like we're getting to that kind of. We're in the third act.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the way to put it. I was playing Good Society last night, and the GM described, because we only have one session left, about, okay, what do you want to do to bring the plane in for a landing? And I think that's a good, like, we are in that descent with these last three sessions, and we'll kind of talk about what we want to get out of those. Joe.
Yeah, no, I have a dual star for Lark and Lowell. I actually did not put one and one together that it was Mercury. I loved the assertive action. And then, like, it wasn't until later I actually was surprised. I was like, oh right, Mercury. Yeah, stuff. So that that was good, right? That I was even like and stuff. And I really enjoyed the, for lack of a better term, the sort of consummation of the relationship there, because it was kind of building, right? And so I thought that was a great moment and everything, and I like that. And my god, Lowell, the hard moves and the things, wow, and stuff, so very well done. And from a wishes perspective, I as well am ready to bring the plane in for a landing, I think, and seeing how you can kind of see how things are starting to be pulled together, right? And I think we just need to follow the thread to whatever conclusion that is. Another wish is maybe let's give Lark a chance to do a scrounge roll thing or whatever they do at the sanctuary, because one of the tags that we've not even touched on is a way into an alien place filled with new kinds of tech, shifting structures, and symbols of unguessed meaning. So I feel like
Sure.
we should definitely allow a scrounge roll at the beginning of next session and see if there's any weird ass stuff that could be
Yeah.
found there. Yeah, and then I have, I think, bad news. I believe I'm going to miss next time. I'm hoping to get done with this in time to be here at the very least late. I'm quite literally going to be at a little company corporate leadership event throwing axes. So,
Well, that'll be fun.
well, yeah, sure. So yeah, so we're starting our like strategic planning for 2024, and people are coming in from out of town, and the CIO was like, I want to do something on Tuesday night. And I'm like, really? Tuesday night? You have 5 choices and it's going to be Tuesday night. And axe throwing is the current leading contender. So I don't know if you have those places around where you live, but yeah. So hopefully if I'm hoping that we leave work early, to go do that, and that I can skip out to get here, but just fair warning.
Sure. I think I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll try and keep that in mind.
So
I do want to throw a star to Joe, like the connection between the tome and a trigger, like that's something that Joe set up a couple of sessions ago, and I'm like that gave me a piece to build on, and I want to thank you again for making that connection a while back, because that's been really interested in thinking of how we bring everything together. I am going to stop the recording.